Visionary auteur Hideo Kojima is shaping up to release what may just be his magnum opus. Death Stranding 2 on the Beach encapsulates the entirety of Kojima-san's decades-long genre defiance into a career-defining whole, a legacy of reimagining gameplay mechanics and pushing narrative boundaries. Sci-fi cop drama Police Knots, interstellar mech battler Zone of the Enders, the Game Boy Advance's Boktai The Sun Is in Your Hand, with its novel cartridge-mounted light sensor that transforms real-life sunlight into in-game bolts of fire. Kojima's titles consistently imbue one or more groundbreaking elements, narratively, mechanically, or both.
This thing between us, it was a mistake.
No, it was not a mistake. It was not a mistake.
The Metal Gear series, as we all know by now, is how Kojima rose to prominence. Reinventing and arguably popularizing stealth action gameplay, Metal Gear is further notable for tackling highly conceptual and philosophical subject matter, and examining the morality of war and humanity's complicity, all explored through the eyes of emotionally complex characters. Death Stranding came in 2019, Kojima's first effort since acrimoniously splitting from Konami and forming his own production company, with ambitious storytelling and genre-bending, if arguably divisive, gameplay, adding to Kojima's legacy exponentially. If Death Stranding is Kojima's Alien, Ridley Scott's 1979 sci-fi horror that is, then upcoming sequel Death Stranding 2 is his Aliens, a comparison made by the man himself in a recent interview with Edge magazine. In that interview, Hideo postulates the origin of 1979 Alien scares are through its mystery. Then James Cameron's follow-up re-injects unfamiliarity by switching genres to action. As stated by Kojima, this is the blueprint inspiring Death Stranding and its sequel's trajectory. Gone is the intrigue and fear factor. BTs are now a known quantity and their mystery has evaporated. Instead, to re-establish unfamiliarity, Death Stranding 2 is expanding the range of combat options available to players, much like Aliens expanded its roster of targets for angry xenomorphs to hunt. Death Stranding 2 on the Beach sees the return of Sam Porter Bridges and Fragile, alongside new characters with decidedly over-literal names like Rainy and Dollman. Said to continue its forebears Strand-type gameplay, whereby the overarching focus is on connection rather than hostility and division. Sam travels to Mexico and then Australia to cross arid continents to extend the chiral network. However, ominously appearing in the sequel's marketing is the question of whether we should have connected at all, hinting at a follow-up darker in tone and mystery, an evolution of the social strand system, and broader possibility for multiplayer infrastructure. Another key element here, freedom. Freedom is at the forefront of Kojima's mind for the sequel. Freedom on how to approach encounters, autonomy to use the game's mechanics to concoct creative solutions to problems. According to Kojima Productions' lead-level designer Hiroaki Yoshiki, Death Stranding 2 applies a three-pronged approach in its options to providing players. They can engage directly in guns-blazing combat, they can utilize stealth and subterfuge, or they can avoid encounters entirely, oftentimes requiring a detour over harsh terrain to uncover new paths. As Yoshiki confirms, all options chosen by the players are viable, and enemies will react accordingly depending on player choice and the environment in which encounters occur. In other words, opponents won't always give chase, they'll react to surroundings as much as the player does. An enemy's role in Death Stranding, according to Yoshiki, was to disrupt the overarching goal of delivering packages from one point to another. In Death Stranding 2, Kojima and his team are crafting a more nuanced and emergent experience to enemy encounters akin to something like Metal Gear Solid 5's Stealth Sandbox, and for anyone waiting for Metal Gear Solid 3's impending remake, this is fantastic. Much like Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, in Death Stranding 2, returning protagonist Sam can adorn different camouflage types, although given the phantasmagorical boss battles promoted thus far, it's unlikely new camouflage outfits will be obtained via defeating bosses without lethal force as per Naked Snake's Cold War era escapades. Utilizing surroundings to mask his approach, shadows and long grass included are of course options for Sam, although players will need to leave his loaded backpack out of sight or make sure it isn't visible through grass. Tiny Expedition Companion and new character for the sequel, Dollman, can prove useful during stealthy sections too, with him having the ability to scan surroundings, tag enemies, and watch over Sam in open spaces. Whether the suite of approaches, tools, and gadgets on offer rival Metal Gear Snake remains to be seen, of course, but mechanically, both Death Stranding 2 and Metal Gear Solid share a lot of common ground. Mechanical comparisons continue in Death Stranding 2's open-world exploration, taking Sam to aforesaid Mexico and Australia, with each location harboring dust-hewn deserts and lush jungles. These environments are pocketed by enemy bases, which Sam can infiltrate via stealth or opt to wield firearms from an extensive arsenal to eliminate guards en masse. So, backtracking slightly, whilst Hiroaki Yoshiki confirms any approach to encounters is viable to seeing the game through to completion, avoiding these enemy camps altogether risks missing out on opportunities to test out weapon combinations, conjure ideas, and push the game mechanically. Of course, facing enemies gives Sam opportunity to wield Death Stranding 2's new weaponry, such as the electrified pole, which can be lobbed at enemies to shock them from the shadows, or, most interesting, holographic grenades which project a visage of a BT to unsuspecting humans, causing them to, hopefully, run like startled rabbits. The Metal Gear aesthetic features heavily in Death Stranding 2's 10-minute pre-order video as well. Now, before we point out two of the most obvious Metal Gear homages in the trailer, there's the notion that Kojima is retreading ground already covered, or more cynically, that he's obsessed with an X and can't let their split go. But frankly, the visual aesthetic applied here is part of Kojima's creative DNA. It'd be remiss to argue otherwise. Furthermore, what we're seeing is Kojima free from Konami's shackles. It seems with Death Stranding 2, he has the team and the budget to bring the entirety of his creative vision to reality. Maybe some of the ideas present in Death Stranding 2 represent unfinished business? Or maybe, like we said, Kojima is still obsessed with Metal Gear and wants to continue the series' legacy on his own terms. Either way, new character Neil is as on the nose a Metal Gear reference as imaginably possible. This smuggler, whom Kojima confirms is a replacement for Death Stranding 1's Cliff, is a man scorned by love and past regrets, morphing into a BT-like antagonist. Not only does the actor behind Neil's appearance, Luca Marinelli, bear a stunning resemblance to Snake, but him also donning a bandana before leading a quartet of creepy soldiers at the culmination of the 10-minute trailer makes him seem like he'll fulfill a role akin to Solid Snake. Another on-the-nose reference is the DHV Megalan, Sam's mech for traversing tar portals in-game. This ship is Metal Gear through and through, more so when the DHV Megalan fuses atop the neck of the colossal Megalan Man. The resemblance of Metal Gear Rex is uncanny. If you've been lamenting the lack of Metal Gear Solid 6, knowing full well it'll never happen, then Death Stranding 2 on the beach is as close as you're going to get. It's the perfect tonic to Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater's weight, although given what we know so far, don't be surprised to rank Death Stranding 2 higher once you've played both. So, what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.